Okay, and then let's release the hands from here for several moments of breath meditation. So my movement will stop now. If you want to continue to move, please do. If meditating in a seat isn't right for you, you're welcome to lie down. You're also welcome to make this a moving meditation. And so as we begin to rest more deeply into our breath, let's feel that all the places that we just held and touched, the belly, the back, the chest, the arms, the head, are all in relationship to each other. And there might be some adjustments that could just help you breathe a little bit better, noticing where the weight of your head is, how that feels for your belly and your back, noticing how your arms are. Maybe the palms want to turn up or down or move closer in or further out. Okay, allowing your body to move with your breath and remembering that meditation is not a stuck, rigid kind of thing. And as your body needs to move, you can move. As you want to sigh or make an audible breath, you can do that. Yeah, so we'll start to tune in with the sensation of breath as it enters into the body. Using my favorite metaphor with a deep bow to my teacher, Amy Matthews, is the first person I ever heard say this. Let's imagine that our breath moves into our body like water moves through sand. Envisioning the shoreline, the way that the tide rolls in and rolls out. And as breath moves into our body, we don't need to force it. It can seep. This breath can move into all of your tissues, just like water can find its way around all the little grains of sand. And as we breathe, let's breathe in ways that feel or ask to feel our inner bodies, and also feel and ask to feel the boundaries of our bodies. Breathing into the containers of our skin. And as we breathe into our bodies, let's sense our own lives. The energy, vitality, and presence of breath and warmth and heartbeat moving into this completely unique and special and one of a kind form, which is your body. And as you breathe into your body, breathe in a way that honors and respects your individual life, your existence. You might even say to yourself, here I am. It's me. I'm breathing. I'm alive right here, right now. And then as we continue to breathe, let's start to breathe into the connections that our lives are completely reliant on. the interconnections that allow our lives to be. And you might breathe some breaths for your parents and ancestors and lineage, whether they're still here in body or they've transitioned into spirit, sending some breaths to their life force. And then we might breathe some breaths to the sunlight and the earth and the moon. Without the moon, our earth would rotate too quickly to sustain life. So let's breathe some breaths, acknowledging our total dependence, our complete reliance on the sun and the moon and the earth, without whom we would not be here. And let's breathe some breaths out into the stars and space, because you know that you are made of star stuff. And if the Big Bang had never happened, you would not be breathing. And the molecular compounds of your breath and your body and everything that we're made of comes from space. Breathing into our interdependence with space. And then remembering that here on Earth, everything that we consume that grows our bodies, all of the food that we eat, all of the water that we drink, is coming from space also. So sunlight feeds the plants, and water was created by hydrogen, which is the most abundant element in space. And the carbon that forms the plant's bodies is also star stuff. And the animals that eat the plants are also star stuff. And as you breathe, you might breathe with gratitude and recognition for all of the lives that have created your body. Plant life, animal life, the life of rivers and oceans, the life of fires that have cooked your food, warmed your body. And as you breathe, you might contemplate how your life has been completely shaped and is completely shaped by and reliant on so many different beings and relationships, including beings who you don't know and have never met and don't even know exist, and including beings that you've never met in person, but their words or their art or their life has somehow meant something to your words and your art and your life. And as we breathe, let's breathe with the knowing and the memory that we cannot exist alone, and that our lives are completely wrapped up in and totally dependent on the life that is here on Earth, and all the different bodies and the individual forms exist because of all the other bodies and the forms. And now open your eyes and allow your gaze to start to move around your space. And as you see what's here, contemplate how what's here is here in part because you're here, and you're here in part because of what's here. And everything that's here is connected with so much else. And the wood that makes the table that I'm looking at is here because of trees and sunlight and people and carpenters and the parents of the carpenters and their parents and parents before, and whoever first invented tools. And as we contemplate the devices that are allowing us to connect and breathe life together right now, we might also contemplate the death that's part of life, the phones and the computers that run because of minerals that have been mined, that have created conditions of enslavement and ecocide and ongoing domicide and genocide and war. And as we breathe out and breathe in, let's ask to feel any amount that we can. What's also here in consciousness, in the moment that is now, that is hard to feel. We're living through a time of overlapping genocides, of polycrises. And as you ask to feel, remember your belly and your chest and your head, and remember that you can touch and hold your body. And we're just going to ask to feel a little bit, because feeling and allowing ourselves to feel is part of what life requires. Asking ourselves to feel also what is sad and enraging is part of what healing requires. And as you ask to feel, allow yourself to need or to want touch or holding, and experiment a little bit with your hands and with your arms, holding and touching your body as you ask to feel. And we've done several touches and holds that can be really supportive. The lungs and the chest and the heart, and holding the head and holding the belly, and even touching our backs can be so supportive when feelings are big, feelings are strong. And as we ask to feel, let's also remember that the amount that there is to feel is too much for any of us to feel alone. And so as we hold our bodies, let's hold our bodies with the awareness and the knowing that we're not alone in feeling. And we might even start to give ourselves a gentle rock or a gentle sway as we ask to feel. We might even let some audible sound come out, like a hum or a lullaby or a song. And as you sway and breathe, and maybe as you make some sound, imagine how many other bodies and beings are also asking to feel right now and holding feeling. how many other bodies and beings are swaying and moving together. And let's send these next breaths into the individuals and communities that are so courageously feeling and asking to feel and asking others in the world to feel. And as we breathe and hold and sway and maybe make some sounds, let's send out love, care, compassion, solidarity, and support. Let's breathe all of that in as well, remembering that love and care and compassion and solidarity and support are for us too. And we might even imagine that we're swaying and breathing with the thousands of people who are marching to Gaza now, with the millions of people who are experiencing unspeakable violence and also incredible love for one another, for homeland. Swaying with everyone who's been out in the streets, voices and bodies holding preciousness of life. And then also sending some breaths and some swaying and some love and care towards the beings who are also creating violence. And as we do, sending love and care to the ways that we are also caught up in it, that it can feel impossible sometimes to extract ourselves from it. Okay, and then we'll ask to feel one more time. And this time, let's ask our spirits. And so as you hold your body and feel your breath, breathing into your interconnections and interdependencies with all life, let's ask into our spirits, what do we need to feel today, this week, right now, that can help us to heal and help us to act and embody in the ways that will be most helpful and beneficial for ourselves and others? What do we need to feel? And for some of us, it may be something we've never felt. It may be the feeling of an apology that we deeply need and have never heard. It might be the feeling of connection that, for many reasons, couldn't have been possible in the ways we've wanted it. Maybe the feeling of our own power and spirit and essence. Ask your spirit, what do you need to feel so that you can be here in this lifetime, in this timeline, more fully, in ways that are of benefit to your life and all that your life is connected with. Yeah. And if the answer came, then hold the answer. And if the answer is still a question, then hold the question. And let's again touch our heads and give a blessing to our heads and our brains, and ask that our heads and our brains are supported to feel in ways that are beneficial for our lives and for all life. Let's let that touch move over the eyes and over the mouth, down to the heart and the chest. Asking our hearts to feel in ways that are of benefit to our life and to all life. Asking our breath to also help us feel. And bringing our hands down to our bellies, remembering the incredible intelligence in our bodies, asking to feel in our bodies in ways that can support the life that moves through us, in ways that benefit our lives and all life. And then let's touch our legs again, and then let's touch the earth and send a touch to the earth and ask to feel our connections with earth. And if your connection has to feel down through a high-rise building and concrete and metal, then that is the invocation. Can we ask to feel through all of the barriers the presence of earth? And may we feel earth in ways that are beneficial to our life and to all lives. Okay, and as if we could scoop up the blessings of the earth, let's scoop our hands and bring earth into our bellies, and earth into our hearts, and earth into our heads. And one more time, we'll bow our heads to our hearts, bow our hearts to our bodies and to the earth, and give thanks for this time and space to practice together. I'm glad we practiced first so that we can practice together. I want to offer a little bit about the astrology for the week. And if you need to hop off, you can always catch this later in the recording, or this part will go on to the Embodied Astrology podcast later tonight. And as I talk, I'm going to keep breathing and keep moving, and I'm going to keep just holding my body and touching my body, because all of this helps me to be connected with my voice and my words. So this week, we'll enter into Cancer season, and we're in that cuspy space between Gemini and Cancer. So observe the light and the growth and the natural world, including your body, and notice what it feels like to be between Gemini and Cancer. This week is also a holiday. So Juneteenth is on Thursday. That's Jupiter's day. And Jupiter is currently in Cancer. And that is the sign of its exaltation. And astrologically, Jupiter is said to be an energy that is benefic, that brings benefit through generosity, expansion, goodwill, and knowledge. As we open our minds, we gain capacity to hold empathy, compassion, and awareness for what is bigger than us. And as we open our minds and expand our spirits, we also get to give our gifts ever more fully. And so as we work with Jupiter's energy, the best way to work with Jupiter's energy is to really try to be our best selves. So to harness the benefic energy of Jupiter, let's tone match and be our benefic selves as much as we can. And Jupiter exalted in Cancer is also a clue here that our best selves, our most benefic selves, are the selves that emerge when we can feel. and when we can be fluent and congruent in our emotional bodies. And emotional stagnation or suppression or repression doesn't allow us to be our best selves. So when we don't feel the feelings that are ours to feel, that means that we can't feel love as much as possible. We can't feel friendship or kinship. When we don't feel the feelings that are ours to feel, it blocks us from being truly accountable or being able to integrate our lessons or really grow in our capacities and wisdom. And Cancer as a sign is a sign that really speaks to bonds and kinship and family and community. And everything on some level is kin and family and community. And maybe you felt this as you were breathing. And in our meditation, maybe there was a moment where you felt the inescapable interconnections your body has with all life. And Jupiter exalted in Cancer is an opportunity for us to really take care of these interconnections, first and foremost by acknowledging that they exist. And as we acknowledge that they exist, the feeling of all of that can be immense. And feelings, when we allow ourselves to really feel them and to be present with them, turn into action. So deep feelings, strong feelings become actions. And unexpressed feelings and thwarted or suppressed feelings also become actions. This week, we are entering, or we are already inside of 10 days of astrology that look to me to be very potent and intense. I'll share my drawing with you, my astro drawing. This is my astro map. And here we are on the 16th. And just yesterday, Jupiter squared Saturn. And on this Wednesday, Jupiter will square Neptune, and Saturn and Neptune are very close to each other in the early degrees of Aries. And if you follow my little lines of influence here, you can see that the 20th through the 26th, a lot is happening as the sun moves into Cancer, and the sun is following Jupiter. So as the sun moves into Cancer, it will square Saturn, and that's this Sunday. And then next week, it will square Neptune. It will form a conjunction with Jupiter. Next week, we'll have a new moon, and then the sun will sextile Mars. Mars is moving into Virgo tomorrow on Tuesday. And this is an important transition because Mars has been in Leo and Cancer, the signs that precede Virgo, for many, many months, beginning last October when Mars entered Cancer. And October, September, I can't remember now, end of September, early October. Mars was retrograde for many months. And so Mars has been moving around the most personal placements and signs in the body. Cancer is ruled by the moon, Leo is ruled by the sun. This is our heart and our stomach, respectively. And so as Mars moves into Virgo tomorrow, there's a release of all of that retrograde energy, everything that has been internalized and reflected upon and reworked, and all of the kind of tumult of a Mars retrograde that really creates a need to get kind of pressurized now starts to release. And Mars will move into Virgo, which is a very effective kind of energy. It can do a lot, it can move a lot. Virgo assimilates, absorbs, and makes use um, of the earth element as the ruler of our intestines. And then as we enter into Cancer season at the end of the week and start to approach the new moon in Cancer, there is a lot of power and force between Cancer and Aries. So these squares, Saturn and Neptune in Aries, and Jupiter and the sun in Cancer, are really powerful signatures of change. And if you were at our last tea time session yesterday. We talked about this quite a bit, and that recording is available if you're a member. But this is a really powerful signature of change. And the times of change that we're in require all of us actually to feel our feelings and to let our feelings move into action. Cancer and Aries are two very personal signs. Aries is an energy that is the me, myself, and I energy, the feeling of I-ness or self. And Cancer governs the inner body and the kind of subjective feeling tone of being a body. And the square between them brings a lot of intensity forwards, and we're living in a really intense time. And the feeling that I get with this astrology is a birthing kind of feeling. So labor pains, birthing pains. I've heard multiple birth workers talk about how when a person is giving birth, there's a point in the birthing process where they feel that they cannot do it. And they're like, I'm done. I'm not going to do it. This isn't going to happen. It can't happen. And then it does. Somehow it does. And so this force of becoming something new is a force that also requires a deep letting go and moving through being incredibly squeezed, feeling that we're in the dark, feeling that we possibly cannot do this or there's no way out. But the squeezing and the intensity of that kind of pressure is alchemical in and of itself. And maybe you also feel right now, as I feel, that there is a new consciousness of what it means to be alive on planet Earth that is being birthed and born into the collective consciousness. And I think that the current astrology, not just this week, but definitely this year, for me, symbolizes and very much feels like a birthing process. And I was a person who was born through C-section. My birthing parent was drugged, so was I. There was medical intervention. We both almost died. And I have a lot of birth trauma that lives in my body. And I feel this often in moments where I feel stuck and I feel squeezed. And I think that even folks who've experienced really easeful natural births, we still live in a world that often has a lot of hardship and challenge transitioning and moving from one state into another. And my feeling a lot of the time is that there's a lot of clamping down and kind of like refusal to move and refusal to allow what's new to really be born. And that clamping down and refusal comes through fear. It comes through this sense of, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do this. And I'm not trying to make an analogy here with birthing people and why a birth process might be disrupted. I'm talking more about something that's psychoenergetic in the collective. Um, why do people get stagnant culturally? Um, so we can see it in the world, what happens with fear and suppression and oppression and refusal to transform. But at some point, we have to feel the impact of that. And here we are at a time when there is immense feeling that's asking to be felt. So in this week, as we move towards a new moon, as we enter into Cancer season, as Jupiter in Cancer squares Neptune in Aries on Wednesday with the Pisces quarter moon, if your feelings get big, I hope that you will resource yourself with our practice today and remember the holds that we practiced, and also remember the breath that we practiced and the interconnections that are available. Ask to feel. Ask to feel what you are ready to feel. And remember that feelings create actions. And whatever it is that you are asking to feel right now, I pray that it supports you in embodying and acting in ways that are truly beneficial for you and beneficial for the life that you are a part of. All right. So I'll close our time today. I always go late. It's just part of who I am. I like to linger. So if you have to move on, thank you for being here. But I'll close today with just a short reading. This is a book by Larry Ward, who's a teacher of a lot of things, contemplative practice, mindfulness, and meditation. And he does a lot of work with anti-racism and racial healing. So as we move into the season of July and what that means here in the US, this felt like a powerful reading to bring into the week. So Larry Ward says, as a nation of immigrants, the United States is home to many who are cut off from their ancestral roots and traumatized by the past. People had permission, I'll say people still have permission, to kill and to steal and to go against the foundational commandments of their religion. The word used politely was conquest. That means to kill whoever you need to kill with impunity, whoever stands in your way. I had somebody come up to me recently and say, I can't believe my ancestor did that. I can't find the space in myself to hold the idea of that cruelty being perpetrated by my ancestors. But we must remember we're dealing with human nature. This is what we must understand, or we're not ever going to get out of this mess. We have to read the great book called Human Nature, or rather, The Law of Human Ethics, which you can find in all major religions and secular humanism too. Your spiritual practice is to understand, why are you doing what you're doing? What is driving you to do that? Have the courage to ask yourself, is it wise? Is it healthy? Will it create suffering? Ask to feel. The shortest, simplest example of how we respond to atrocities is in our responses to genocide and slavery. There are 3 stages of avoiding heartbreak, of recognizing the way we perpetrate wrongs. We do something, we deny we did it, and then we forget we denied it, and so it never happened. Or we say, well, I wasn't alive back then. Or we might now say, well, I'm not there right now. Yet we have the seeds of our ancestors within us. Where do you think you came from? Their genes run through your genes. Their blood is in your veins. And our healing has to get that deep, or we will keep passing on our shadow intention to the next generation. One of the insights of Carl Jung is, when our shadows are repressed for a long time, when they get pricked and they emerge from the dark, they come out primitive as non-logical entities. There's no conversation to be had with them. Thich Nhat Hanh liked to say, most of the things we think will not help us face the beast in humanity. What I know is, I can face the beast in humanity if I have faced the beast in myself. And that brings me profound stillness. So I'm safe to be with myself in the midst of my sorrow, pain, glory, genius, and talent. I can be with myself, and because I can be with myself, I can be with you, even if my heart is breaking every day. I'll share a phrase from Martin Luther King Jr. here in conclusion. Beloved community is our only salvation. For me, beloved community includes the whole planet, to learn how to be together in deep, deep ways, not in contrived ways around maps and national boundaries, but as humans living on this planet as a family with all of nature. When we fly, we look at the surface of the earth and see that there are no border lines. Where are the lines? Only in our collective agreements and intentions, which then become real through our actions. But these things you already know in your unconscious mind, waiting to manifest like seeds in the dark. I'm just here to encourage you to remember what you know and to put that remembrance into practice. The deep remembrance of who and what you are, beyond borders, beyond categories, in deep belonging, in beloved community, is our salvation. Dr. Larry Ward. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. It's such a gift to be able to practice like this. So, however you might do it this week, I hope that you are able to feel and also feel in ways that can participate and support and be supported by the participation of many who are really asking to feel in new and different ways so that our actions and creations can take new and different forms. I'll leave it there. Take care out there. Happy Cancer season. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.